Thanks for your company. We're coming to you live from digital address GA0992539, also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. The details now. One person has died after armed robbers attacked travelers on the Bimbilla-Yendi highway at 12:20 a.m. on Tuesday. We've been joined by the PRO of the police in the northern region, DSP Yusuf Tanko. Hello, DSP, how exactly did this incident occur?
Yeah, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to viewers. Yeah, around 1:40 p.m., the Yendi police received information to the effect that there was robbery going on the Yendi Bimbilla road. So policemen and militiamen were dispatched to the area. When they went, they met the victims, but the armed robbers had fled. And according to them, the robbers used a pole, electricity pole that was abandoned to block the road, and then robbed a Kia vehicle with passengers, with money and also a mobile phone. So a second vehicle then moved in. So when it turns that it was a robbery scene, it decided to escape the scene. And unfortunately, it walked on one of the victims who had been made to lie on the road, and he died. So police in the region are trying very hard to identify and also arrest these criminals. Searches have been intensified around the Bimbilla and also the Yendi. They are between Yendi and Bimbilla, the communities between them. Searches are ongoing, and we have also appealed to communities to be on the lookout for strangers or people who are not known in the area who have been found, so that they can assist in investigation. So we are doing everything possible to ensure that the robbers are hunted down, and also ensure that we beef up men on patrols on that particular stretch, and also other rules within the region.
GSP, we understand that these men were armed. Can you confirm that?
Yes, according to the eyewitnesses, they were armed with weapons.
And what kind of weapons are you able to tell us?
Yeah, they were not able to describe the weapons very well, but we are suspecting that they may be pump action guns and also single barrel guns.
Now, we've also been told that vehicles plying routes to the northern part of the country, and you've confirmed that, are usually accompanied by police because of the threat of highway robberies. Was there any police escort on this particular Kia bus?
No, there wasn't a police escort on it, but yes, we do escort a lot of the buses, and you agree with me that with the number of buses that ply the road, it is impossible to escort all of them. So what we do is we do mount barriers and stop the vehicles and then escort them. But there are some of the drivers, they don't agree. But this particular one, we didn't encounter it anywhere. We only heard of the robbery, went and found them, so they were not part of the vehicles that we stopped and escorted.
All right, DSP, I'll come back to you shortly. We've been joined by MC for Bimbilla, Abdullah Yaqub. Thank you, sir, for joining the show. Describe this area where the robbery occurred to us.
Thank you very much. It occurred between a village called Ganguile, as in between Bimbilla and Pusuga. Actually, it was this morning around 12:30 thereabouts. I had a call, a distress call, that armed robbers had blocked some vehicles and were beating and terrorizing them. We moved there. I moved there with the military and the police. Before we got there, they had bolted. And according to eyewitnesses, they said they were about 5. And they were speaking French and Kukumba and then Nanuli. And they were armed with an AK-47 rifle and some knives, cutlasses. In the process, one person lost his life.
Yes, and we've heard that. I just want you to try and describe the area to us. Is it in a forest area? Are there communities around where this occurred?
Yeah, it's not in a forest area. It's just about 3 to 4 kilometers away from Bimbila town. And we have about 3 villages around that area. We have Pabi, we have Dambuyile and Pushuga and Tilbaga. So, in fact, we are also surprised that they have been so emboldened to rob vehicles at that particular point, because there are villages just around that particular enclave.
And we understand that's a diversion because the Eastern Corridor Road is being developed?
Yes, it's a diversion, and they came and hid under a bridge, and that's where they operated. And surprisingly, on the 9th of this month, a metro mass was also robbed. A Pandai-bound metro mass that was going to Tamale was robbed at almost the same place.
So this is not the first time?
This is not the first.
Okay.
This is the second robbery in less than 3 days.
We'll quickly have to wrap this up. So let me find out from, thank you for joining us, Mr. Yakub. DSP, so there's a general concern of security, insecurity in the country, and this spot, like we just heard, is not the first time. So what is being done to avert similar events?
Yeah, the regional command has issued instructions to both the police in Bimbila and also Yendi to intensify patrols on the road, and also that particular spot, they should ensure that they position their vehicle there to avert the situation where the robbers can also attempt another robbery. So we are doing everything possible to ensure that we bring the situation under control. And remember, that is not the only rule that we have to take care of. There are a lot of other rules around the area and also part of the northern region.
All right, thank you very much for your time. DSP Yusuf Tanko speaks for the police in the northern region. Away from that, the Australian government has promised to support Ghana with some $750,000 Australian dollars to help build the capacity of interagency counter-terrorism course to be run by the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center. The intervention, according to the First Assistant Secretary for the Middle East and Africa, HKU, it's a guarantee Australian mining companies operating in Ghana and West Africa safety from emerging terrorism threats and other security issues emerging in the West African sub-region. The promise was made at the West African Mining Security Conference underway in Accra.
And I'm extremely pleased to be able to announce today that Australian government will be contributing 75,000 Australian dollars towards an interagency counter-terrorism course to be run by the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. We believe that one of the key things that needs to be done around issues like this, and certainly Australia has some experience in dealing with this in our region as well, is to ensure that there is clear communication and clear information sharing channels, especially amongst different agencies. So we hope that this contribution will go a long way in ensuring that West Africa can deal with this emerging issue in a most efficient and effective way, because we know how important mining sector is for the future economic growth of West Africa. And Australia is a reliable and very committed partner in this regard, and we want to actually work with all of you to ensure that we create enough economic growth that is beneficial to host countries and to the companies involved. So thank you very much for being here, and I think we are ready to take some questions.
Dated most especially by the happenings in Burkina Faso. Are you able to apprise us with?
We don't share intelligence, and we haven't got any particular intelligence that we would want to share anyway. What we're working off is public knowledge. There's been enough reported in the general media to confirm everyone's view that there has been a deterioration in the security situation to the north of Ghana. There has been a steady increase in the number of attacks, terrorist attacks, and other security incidents in Burkina Faso to raise everyone's concerns. So we're not working off any particular intelligence, no.
Away from that, the MP for North Tongue, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has argued that the latest University of Ghana report on the performance of MPs is indicative of the non-performance of the Akufo-Addo-led administration. Speaking on the AM show this morning, Mr. Ablakwa insists that the report is an attestation of the NDC's view of the governing party. He spoke with Roland Walker.
Article 78(1) requires that the president should appoint majority of his ministers from parliament. It does appear to me that wanting to compel majority MPs, majority of whom should be ministers, to also do a good job in their constituencies. You are asking them to serve two masters. Can you serve two masters equally? Can you look into a bottle with your two eyes at the same time? It's a tough call on members of parliament, and perhaps we may want to take a second look, because even the Constitution Review Commission has recommended a departure, that we should free the hand of the president to appoint people from wherever. If he wants to take some from parliament, fine, but the majority demand on the president should be amended. We know we don't build roads, we don't build hospitals, but we will go and lobby. We will tell our government, or it's in our manifesto, we have promised it. We will make sure that it is done. And some even, play the card of proximity. Oh, you saw how the president was chatting with me, or how the flag bearer, holds me dearly. I'm close. I have access. I don't need a middleman. It always comes up in the campaign, and so you see that people will project, pictures of their proximity with the flag bearer. You can tell clearly that where the government is performing, for example, in OT, if you pore over the details of the report, you notice that the only MPP MP in the OT region, the Honorable Jato, is doing well. I want to believe that it is linked to the fulfillment of that promise to create the OT region. So he's benefited from that.
The Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Rashid Rahman, however, disagrees with Mr. Okudzeto's assertion. He said it's typical of opposition MPs to outperform their colleagues in government for obvious reasons.
The report is not surprising. It's a confirmation of, I believe, what we know already happening in our country, but also a confirmation of what pertains across the continent. I would want to respectfully disagree with the position taken by the honorable member. I believe over the years, maybe you can do your check, generally members of parliament from the opposition parties mostly seem to be more active than members of parliament from ruling parties. I think for very obvious reasons. I mean, they are a government in waiting. They want to wrestle power from those who hold power currently. I mean, all those things play into the fact that they would normally be seen to be quite active in their parliamentary activism than those who hold power. So maybe that might be the explanatory factor. I don't think that the performance of the president has anything to do with this.
Mr. Rahman spoke to me earlier on News Desk. You're watching News Today. Just gone by, we brought you a story from the Bimbilla-Yendi Highway where one person has died as a result of an armed robbery attack. But still to come, the minority takes on government over what it describes as the unsustainable levels of debt stock, saying it will summon the finance minister before Parliament. We've got details shortly. Do stay. Thank you for staying here with me, Benis Abubedulan. So the minority in Parliament says it will summon the Finance Minister to appear before the House over Ghana's debt stock, insisting it has reached unsustainable levels. They say claims by Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah that government is managing the debt well are untrue. Reacting to the minister's recent press conference, minority spokesperson on finance, KCL Atoforson, told the media government has borrowed up to 8 billion Ghana cedis, bringing the debt stock to 200 billion cedis.
His claim that they have not added 80 billion to the public debt stock is a mark of duplicity and dishonesty. For the avoidance of doubt, we have been very generous in sticking to the official numbers and not applying the outrageous principles and calculations used by the Vice President and the then NPP stalwarts when they were in opposition. Hence, unless the Information Minister wishes to say that the then candidate Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia, the running mate, were not even outlandish in peddling falsehood about our public debt in opposition, the attempt to blame the rising public debt on exchange rate depreciation represents a doublespeak and an admission of failure by President Akufo-Addo. President Akufo-Addo has also remained tight-lipped on what exactly the monies have been used for, and his Information Minister could not point to any except to claim that development wasn't all about infrastructure, unfortunately. This could be another justification for using the oil revenue for consumption.
Well, he also says the minority will use parliamentary procedures to ensure better management of debt.
Government is good at coming out with slogans and using deceptive words to create impression that they are doing better, whereas the details on the ground is that they are not doing well. Aside the issues of press conference and counter press conferences, we are going to obviously revoke the powers vested in us as members of parliament, summoning ministers of state to appear before parliament, revoking where possible constitutional provisions, and then obviously to do motions on the floor, half-an-hour motions, to get them to appear before parliament. As we speak, nobody knows the end December 2016 expenditure numbers. Even though, per the laws of this country, the Minister of Finance should have appeared before parliament or provided information to parliament by the end of first quarter. We've ended second quarter, or we're about to end second quarter. It's all missing. So we are going to obviously come out with half-an-hour motion to compel the minister responsible for finance to bring us those expenditure so that we know how much they are spending on consumption, how much, where the money is going and where it is.
Away from Parliament, police and relatives are searching for a 14-year-old candidate of the ongoing Basic Education Certificate examination who went missing 5 days to the examination. Valérien Osenyako had travelled from Kumasi to Koforidua on the blind side of his mother. He later contacted on phone. He failed to reach home on a return journey after his father put him on a Kumasi-bound vehicle. Efforts to find him have proved futile as he misses the chance to take part in the BECE. Nanaya Aljima visited his family and reports.
Candidates from Unique Standard International School in Kumasi sit for the BECE at Atonsu MA Basic School. Among absentees on day one is Valerie Osenyako, a student teachers describe as average. School authorities declined comment on record, but say they are worried.
Apologies for that. We'll bring you the full report later. But the much anticipated 2019 National Science and Maths Quiz is finally here, and 135 schools across the country will be yearning to lift this year's trophy and the bragging rights. As part of our build-up to this year's competition, we've been bringing you highlights of the regional contest. Well, today on the AM show, we're Managing Director of Primetime Limited, Nana Ikuya Ankoma Asare, and the celebrated National Science and Maths Quiz mistress, Dr. Elsie Ifa Kaufman, who are short patrons of an excellent competition.
To put everything into context, we follow right up until about quarterfinals. We are following WASSCE syllabus.
Okay.
And the foundations in science don't change that drastically. You have to agree. We've been doing this competition
How
since
can I disagree with this?
We've been doing this competition since 1993.
Yeah.
So the subject matter has not really changed, but we have to find creative ways to make things seem new every time. So that's why it takes a year to get ready. But we've done our best. I think you'll be happy with us.
The thing is, during examinations, you hear papers leaking and questions leaking, but I'm not sure I've heard about any leaked National Science Maths quiz questions.
I'm happy to hear that because I keep these questions under lock and key. So if anybody tells you they have leaked questions, it's not true. It's going to be difficult. It's a lot of excitement.
Okay.
The contestants have been preparing very hard all through the year, and so they will be showcasing what they have, and so we should expect very good contests, very competitive, every one of them. And then I hope that the audience will also be learning some science. It bothers me that people come and cheer and they don't go away with any science. Well, the science is all around us, so I'll continue making an effort to make sure that...
Can you play the last question and the answers that we got?
Last one. I am a 3-digit odd number between 100 and 200. The product of all my digits is a 2-digit odd cube. My digits are distinct. The sum of my digits is 13. My last digit is an exact square. Yes, Fanny. That's incorrect. Who rang next? Who rang next? Yeah, go ahead. Yes, Ahine.
147. No.
Just taken their time, West Africa, would they have gotten that?
Anything can happen, you know. On a day like that, anything can happen.
So that was just to tease you, and I'm sure many of you are already sitting at the edge of your seats waiting anxiously for this year's edition. We'll be bringing you more on that. Do stay with us here on the Joy News channel. The launch of NSMQ 2019 is at the British Council at 5 p.m. later today. You can join us. The conversation is using the hashtag NSMQ on Joy News. Now, the African Union Development Agency is holding a series of training for selected individuals on the AU's model law on medical products regulation this week. Joy News' Joseph Akable is one of the participants currently in Kigali. He joins us via Skype. Hello, Joseph. First, tell us what the AU's medical products regulation is all about.
So it's all forms part of efforts by the African Union to assist countries to ensure that it's easier for drugs to get onto the continent. And this discussion started sometime in 2007 when the African Union realized that medicines are comparatively expensive on the African continent, simply because when drugs are being brought in, the various countries, there are about 50 regulatory agencies that exist in various countries. So you now have to subject a drug to a certain standard to see whether it meets it before it is passed. Now, the point and the concern from the African Union is that the African continent is similar in various ways. And so if a drug has been approved for use in Ghana, why can't it simply be used in Kenya? That may not have very much of difference in terms of those it to be administered to. And because of the challenge subsequent, all these countries having regulatory frameworks and regulatory agencies, it takes a long time for the drugs to come in, making it expensive eventually. Unlike the European Union, where they have some form of arrangement where you have a certain standard that once a drug meets, it comes in. And so the African Union for some time now has the Medicine Regulatory Harmonization Program, which has been running. And the aim is to ensure that it comes with some agreements so that even if it will be done on regional levels, you know that maybe for West Africa, or for North Africa or for the Eastern Africa, once the regulatory agencies look at it and approve their drugs, then it can quickly move to make it easier and reduce the cost of drugs.
Joseph, tell us about the people who've been selected for this training.
So a number of individuals, starting from legislators, because mind you, some of these things will have implications for the laws of the country. So there are some members of parliament from Ghana who are participating. They also consider it important to train journalists as well, because they believe that journalists must tell stories related to the constraints of getting drugs into the country. In fact, the point they make is that there are a number of drugs that come into various African countries and take so long before they get onto the market, and that is what contributes to their cost. So they are looking at training journalists as well. Then civil society organizations, we know the importance of CSOs in pushing to have various changes take place in various countries. So they are also key stakeholders. So those are the three main groups. Experts will obviously be coming from the African Union's development agency. They'll be leading this particular discussion. More than 10 years after the AU set on this path, it doesn't appear much progress has been made, and it will continue striving to ensure that they make some significant strides to take concrete steps. And that is what they believe that if it's going to be achieved, then they will need to engage the MPs, the journalists, and the experts all at the table to agree and be trained on what steps could be taken to ensure that this process is smooth.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Akable, joining us from Kigali. We'll take you back during the week for more on that. But let's go back to that story about police and relatives searching for a 14-year-old candidate of the BEC who went missing about some 6 days to the examination. Valerian Osenyako had traveled from Kumasi to Koforidua on the blind side of his mother. He later contacted on phone and, well, he failed to reach home on a return journey after his father put him on a Kumasi-bound vehicle. Efforts to find him have proven unsuccessful, and he's missing his chance to take part in this year's BEC. Nanaya Aljuma visited his family and reports.
International School in Kumasi set for the BEC at Atonsu MA Basic School. Among absentees on day one is Valerie Osenyako, a student teachers describe as average. School authorities declined comment on record, but say they are worried such a student with promise will miss out on the examination. Disturbed mother, Quinsta Nyako, is in her sitting room. In her hand is a letter left behind by Valerie, giving reasons for leaving home. Among them is to prevent conflict in the family. Part of it reads,
"Sorry for spoiling or wasting your time, and I know money is hard for you to make, but I promise I will not come here until the next 5 years, where I would have made enough money."
Mother is confused about the content of the letter.
His sister brought me a letter he had left behind. After reading the content, I asked them why he had allowed him to leave the house. I didn't understand the content of the letter either. They assured me he will come back. He had told his siblings he was joining a group for revision studies, but he never came back.
On Saturday, when the mother heard from the boy, she directed him to his father, who lives in Koforidua. Father had persuaded son to come back and write his examination, for which he managed to get him assure his mother on phone. Valerie will, however, not start the journey, as he is reported to have gotten off the vehicle before departure.
His father told me he had put him on a bus to Kumasi. My son even called me with another person's phone. His line was faint, so I told him to join a car from wherever he was to the house, if he had arrived in Kumasi. I didn't hear from him again, so I had to go to Koforidua myself to look for him.
Mother says it is not the first time the teenager has left home on her blind side. She is worried this time round because the boy had been anxious to write in the examination.
He once left for Accra. When he got there, he called and told me he was in Bolgatanga. It was the owner of the phone he called with who told me he was rather in Accra. He apparently didn't know where he was. I had to send them money to enable him to return home. He confided in my mother he had been pushed by a strange voice to travel.
Mother is now counting on public support to find her son. The matter has since been reported to police in the Eastern Regional Capital. Nana Ojima reporting.
Thank you so much for staying here on News Today. We're taking a quick breather. When we come back, Darryl Kwao will be bringing us business in Ghana. Remains the preferred investment destination in Africa for investors from the European Union. You'll hear from the EU ambassador to Ghana.